Mike Owens with Inside Fighting here, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by new Mansa, Joaquin Buckley, who returns to action in the main event of UFC Tampa in just over 2 weeks' time, facing Colby Covington. Joaquin, always a pleasure, my man. How are things with you today?
That's man. Real good, bro. Excited for the, little switch up, getting Colby Covington, man. So I think this is actually a fun matchup for me. And I think it's a lot of things that we can do in this fight, man, to make it real exciting and fun for the fans to watch.
Well, first and foremost, this is the first main event of a UFC career, so that's always a nice milestone in people's careers. I
Yeah.
imagine, I imagine that's a nice milestone for you to hit.
Yeah. So for me, getting the main event is something that we've been working for, since I got signed to the UFC. So I'm glad the opportunity has been given to me. And yet again, bro, it's just time to go show out. So to really go show the fans, exactly why I have a main event and, why I'm deserving of a main event, with this fight that I got coming up against Colby Covington.
Is Colby Covington a bigger fight than Ian Garry?
Yeah, to a certain degree, he really is. Right now he's a higher rank than Ian Gary. I think he's just like, one number ranked above Ian Gary. And then yet again, he has fought for a title before. He actually fought for a title 3 times, so this is a person that is put himself in a position where he was a top ranked contender. And did he succeed? Nope. But he still fought for a title, which a lot of guys can't even say they've done that. So with that being said, going out there and kind of putting on a performance that I know I can put on Kobe Covington, and actually, going out there and dominating Kobe Covington. He's still a high level athlete. He's still a high level fighter, and to go out there and put him in a situation where he looks like an amateur, I think is going to make it good for me to kind of speak volumes on me fighting for that belt next.
I think it was around about 5 or 6 weeks out from the date of UFC 310 when we heard the news that Bilal was out of his fight with Shavkat.
Yeah.
And there was obviously a question on who was going to step in to face Shavkat. Would there be an interim title on the line? Would Shavkat stay on the
Right.
card? You obviously get this matchup against Colby, and Ian steps in to
Mhm.
face Shavkat. Talk to me a little bit
Mhm.
about how this fight came to fruition, and was there any discussions about you potentially stepping in to face Shavkat?
No, no, there was no discussions on me fighting Shavkat, but I definitely did put my, my name in the hat.
Mm.
But they already had plans, once Bilal had fell out, obviously, the UFC is scrambling trying to figure out what fight they can make and what is the biggest fight they can make. So yeah, they said why not put the two undefeated cats against each other, and then two people that like to talk a lot of trash and promote the fight with one another, put them up against each other and see what we can get out of it. So I think that's the UFC. They move real fast and they able to, problem solve pretty good. So we got two better fights. I feel like what I mean made up right now.
Colby's been very inactive, given that in his last 5 to 6 years we haven't seen him too much, and there's always been a question about has he been selective with his
Mhm.
matchmaking. So I think it was met by a little bit of surprise, if I can be honest, when I
Yeah.
heard the news. What do you think the UFC did to make Colby Covington accept the fight with you on short notice?
Uh, no telling, and you already know the UFC pockets real big. You hear me?
Mm.
So, they probably gave him a little extra something to take this fight. But when I see that he wants to fight guys like Paddy Pimblett, when he wants to fight guys like Dustin Poirier or Islam Makhachev, like it's just like those type of matchups don't make any sense. Because first off, none of these guys are welterweight fighters, and one of them is a 145er. So it's just crazy that he was really kind of calling out for those fights and to try to make those things happen. So what I'm thinking in my mind is that Kobe was trying to find him just a last like hoorah fight where he can pretty much have an easy fight, easy win, and then go about his merry way. I don't know what his contract looks like. I don't know if he has another fight on his contract, but I feel like for me, I feel like he getting his walking papers after this.
UFC 310 is this weekend. Alexandre Pantoja faces Kaya Sakura for the UFC flyweight title, and you can get even closer to the action with our partners at DraftKings. Right now, all new DraftKings customers who bet $5 will receive $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using our promo code Inside Fighting. The crown is yours. We know what Colby does. We know what Colby did in his prime. It's pace and pressure, and it's wrestling. That's the Colby Covington MO.
That's all he knows. That's all
Let's
he knows.
let's be honest. When you look at this fight, I know you don't want to give away the game plan, but how much of it is to keep it in the striking?
Not well. The thing is, people don't realize, like, yes, I'm a striker. The majority of my wins, or my finishes, come by knockout, right? But at the end of the day, my background was wrestling.
Mm,
Like I started with wrestling, and I trained with a great camp and with Nick Simmons at Saw Academy, and I trained with some of the best guys in the nation, if not the world, when it comes to wrestling. So I'm not afraid to get into a grappling situation
mm,
with Kobe. Like I'll be honest with you, I'm eager. I'm excited for the challenge, and I'm excited how I will do in situations when it comes to the grappling, because I already know that when it comes to on the feet that I'm going to beat him every single time. So
mm,
I feel like what's going to speak even more volumes is what I do with him on the ground as well. So you might see some shots out of Buck too. You hear me?
mm.
Let's go.
You do strike me as somebody who likes to beat people at their own game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, well, my thing is whatever you leave open, whatever you leave exposed, I'm gonna take it.
Mm,
So for a lot of guys, they leave themselves open because they feel like somebody's not going to do a certain thing. And well, perfect example when Leon took down Usman. Usman wasn't
mm,
expecting Leon to go for a takedown, and Leon, did it. He took it, and that's how you saw, Usman get taken down for the first time. So in my personal opinion, it's just like for me, it's like doing the same thing. It's just like understanding what holes are there and just exposing them every time I see it.
100%. There's a video going around on social media. You may have seen it of Colby on the pads getting ready for this fight. It's getting a lot of heat.
Nah,
People
I
saying
ain't
that.
saying nothing
Have you
from
not seen
Kobe.
it?
Nah,
Oh,
nah, nah.
I'll have to send you. But anyway,
Yeah, dig that up. Dig that up.
100%. But when you look at this matchup, Colby's lost three times in recent memory. Twice by decision to Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman in title fights, as you mentioned. Once via fifth round TKO to Kamaru Usman in a title fight. This fight will obviously go is scheduled for 25 minutes. When you look at this matchup, do you feel like you can get the stoppage victory, or do you see this one going the distance?
Well, that all depends on the fighter. That all
Mm,
depends on Kobe. Like,
mm,
like that's his decision. If he wants to make it to the judges scorecard, he gonna have to do a lot of surviving. But regardless, it's just like every time I go out there to fight, my mentality and my game plan is always to hunt for the finish.
mm,
Right? I'm a finisher. That's just how I'm bred. That's just how I come. And a lot of people would think that, oh well, you don't want to force it. Well, that's the thing. Just my fighting style. Naturally, I don't have to force it. It's
mm.
just my style. And yet again, it's up to the other person to try to survive my style and see make it to the judges' scorecard. So I'm gonna just go out there, be me, man, and go out there, have fun. And yet again, a lot of exciting things happen when I do that.
You said earlier that this is a matchup between two guys who like to talk.
Yeah,
We know what a Colby Covington fight week brings, and we know that he can sometimes go to places that maybe other people won't or maybe shouldn't.
right.
Are you expecting an ugly build-up in this one?
Of course, but the thing is though, the thing about my shit talking and his shit talking, his is fake, mine's is real.
Mm,
And no matter what he brings up or what he says, I done met this man in person. I know the real Kobe Covington. And what he is a character, and he's playing like a whole fictional person. So for me, it's just like I want to bring up the fact that you a bitch and that you soft and that like the person that you're portraying is somebody yet again that does not exist, but we all know the real you. And I'm not going right now. I'm gonna keep all the stuff that I got in my
mm,
bag on my end
as
to
you should.
myself. But there's a lot of things that I can say about Kobe Covington that's true, and what he gonna have to say is just shit that he making up off the top of his head.
What happens if it does get ugly?
Like what? To what degree you talking
What
about?
happens if he says something that you deem to be below the belt?
Oh no no
Do you
no.
keep your
Well, that's
cool?
the beautiful thing. So for me, I already know there is no rules to this, right? Is there certain lines I will cross? No, there's a couple things that me personally I would not mention, but when you talk about the fight game, everything is on limits.
Mm,
You can say whatever about anything if you feel like it's going to make somebody emotionally invested in that fight and cause them to act out of character. But for me, yet again, my fighting style is already a finisher, right?
mm,
So I'm not going to be emotionally invested in this fight. I'm just going to do what I do because I'm already a devastating fighter.
yeah.
You had a person like who I fought with, Wonder Boy, the nicest guy in the world, didn't
Mm,
say not one mean thing about me, didn't talk about my family, didn't talk about anything that I loved, and I
mm,
still took him to the king. I still knocked him out, right?
mm,
Yet again, this is just a business. But the only thing and the only difference is, right, if I really do feel some type of way, which I'm not saying I wouldn't, but if
mm,
I do knock you out, now do I make the choice of stopping or keep going,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah. And I hope you didn't mind me answer that question because I know it's a personal one, but I just wanted to ask you it. You mentioned Wonder Boy there. the point I wanted to mention was the last time we spoke, we talked about, well, in the lead up to the Wonderboy fight, we were talking about how everybody who's beat Wonderboy has gone on to fight for a world title. Everybody since 2016 who's beat Colby Covington has held a UFC world title. So what do you
That's
think a
crazy.
win over Colby Covington does for you in terms of your title aspirations?
Well, yet again, I mean, not just trying to put his name out there, but I think just a win, a dominant win, a
Mm.
dominant performance, is going to put me in a position to get to that title. And for me, it's just like, I can talk and talk and talk. People not gonna believe me until the results speak for themselves. So we just gonna keep winning, man. We just gonna keep clocking in. And yet again, the next time I step into that cage again, and that's after the Kobe fight, I'm definitely expecting to have some gold around my waist.
I have to ask you about the fight the week before in your division between Shavkat and Ian, because obviously there was a big question mark who was going to step in to face Shavkat. Were you surprised that it eventually ended up being Ian Garry, who was the one who put his name forward, or who the UFC decided to go with?
You said, am I surprised? No, I'm not
Mm,
surprised. I mean, the fight sell itself. Two undefeated guys
mm,
who train with each other at Kill Cliff, like go to war, go scrap for that, potential shot to fight for a belt. But what I like about it is I hope it's a war. I don't think it will be, but I hope it's a war because yet again, now is the now it's going to be a waiting game for the division to wait
mm,
till one of these guys get better. And then if Bilal feels better, after that, toe infection, and he's already been trained, and now he's just being cleared. If he's ready to fight, then cool. He's gonna need somebody to rumble with.
mm,
So I hope those two undefeated guys, they go to war, they hurt each other, and they be out for a bit, and then Buck will be ready to
mm.
step in and fight for a title.
I guess why I asked you was surprised because there was obviously a question about would one of the previous champions like a Leon or a Kamaru Usman step up. I know that Kamaru there was certainly rumours, but there wasn't really anything on the Leon Edwards side. Were you surprised that neither of those guys stepped in?
Well, it's a big threat.
Mm,
Right now they're the type to kind of use their names to put them in position to fight for a title again. So there's a lot of risk and no reward in their eyes. With beating somebody like that. So it's a waiting game for them. So yet again, with that being said, like a Leon now, I believe he's booked with Masvidal.
all
Which is
right.
more of a better fight for Leon and
Mm,
and just strategically, like even with Masvidal not being ranked and just getting signed back, that's still a good comeback fight for
mm,
Leon to kind of keep his name up there at the highest level. You know what I mean? And
mm,
people get to still see him clock in and put in work. So it's a strategic game when you talk about fighting up there in the top five.
mm. You
Yeah.
said then a minute ago that you hope Shavkat and Ian is a war, but you don't expect it to be. Who are you leaning towards in that matchup? And maybe give me one key to victory for each fighter to have success.
Uh, for me, the person that I picked to win this fight, believe it or not, is Ian Garry. And I understand that Shavkat, they call him the boogeyman, they call him the killer, with all 18
Mm,
wins coming by finishes. I just don't see Shavkat able to hunt Ian Garry down because Ian Gary's going to be on his pedal the whole time, moving, moving. He's going to be trying to point Shavkat instead of trying to knock Shavkat out. And the thing about, when you have a person like Shavkat, he needs another dance partner that's willing to come into that fire, to come into the flames and really try to, uh, just try to look for a finish. And when you do those type of things, it leaves you exposed and leaves you open to get caught, right? But with Ian Garry, he's going to try his best to stay safe and survive for them judges' scorecards and narrowly win by a split decision. But if Shavkat wants to win this fight, he's going to have to learn how to move his feet moving forward and kind of get Ian Garry up against the cage and start
mm,
working from there. But I just don't see that happening.
mm. I want to be careful about how I say this, but you have always been we've talked quite a lot about Shavkat, and you've always kind of seen something that nobody else has seen. You've always been dismissive is the wrong word because you've always been respectful, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
haven't quite bought into the hype in the way that other people have. What is it that you've seen in Shavkat's game that maybe other people are missing?
Just hittable.
Hitful.
Hittable. That's it. And it's a hard thing. Like even if I'm saying that now, it's not like Shavkat could ever really change that. It takes time to really kind of work on your defense and being defensively responsible. But that's why it makes him a killer too. right?
Yes.
Because guys are hitting him, and he's durable, right? And
Mm,
he's able to hit or land those shots back, and then is able to get those guys out of there. So, his biggest, I guess, detriment is also his biggest weapon, which is crazy, So,
mm,
yeah, that's it. Being hittable. So I feel like for me, if I'm able to touch your chin, with nothing coming back, I feel like I can get anybody out of there. So,
mm,
if I can touch your chin, I can win. Let's get
mm.
it.
100%.
Mhm.
You beat Vicente Luque. You have the homecoming fight against Nur Sultan Ruzaboyev
Mhm.
in May. You knock out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and you beat Colby Covington. Are you on the cusp of a Fighter of the Year nomination? I mean, Ilia Topuria and Alex Pereira will probably get that acclaim.
Right,
But
right,
in
right,
terms
right,
of
right.
4 wins in a calendar year, that's a stronger year as anybody, dare I say?
I say my bank account winning. you know,
Mm,
I would love to have that like just to even be a nominee, like but I would love to have that claim that fighter of the year. Because yet again, I remember when I first got started in the UFC, in my first or my second fight with the UFC, I got knockout of the year. It'd be
mm,
a big opportunity to really kind of show people, okay, um, he's not just a knockout artist, but he's an incredible fighter as
mm,
well. And with all that being said, it's just like, I think with a win over Colby Covington, a lot of people are going to respect my skill set more than just my fighting style.
mm,
And that's one thing that I've always been trying to kind of prove. But yet again, it's just like, I can't kind of force these type of things. You
mm,
just gotta let these things speak for themselves. So
mm.
yet again, I'm gonna let the results keep going and me keep getting my hand raised. And everybody gonna see that yet again, bro. Like once I become a world champion, it's gonna be hard to get Buck up out of there. Yeah.
I caught up with Michael Chiesa about a week ago when he's fighting Max Griffin, and I'm not sure of your
Okay.
relationship to Chiesa, but I was asking
No,
about
no
the ones.
problem with my man's. No
Well,
problem.
I was asking about the 170 division, and he said the guy who's impressed me most this year and the guy who's the real dark horse for the title is Joaquin Buckley, and he was talking about how impressed he is by what you've done over this calendar year. Do you like getting praise from your peers in the 170-pound division? Does that do anything for you?
No, it doesn't do anything, but real recognize real.
Mm,
All fighters know. All fighters pay attention to the next guy.
mm,
And I know that I have the welterweight division on notice, and there's a lot of hungry guys out there that think that they want that work, but they yet again it's gonna be soon and proven that if you fight me, you got to be ready.
mm.
You better be buckled up and ready. Yeah.
Well, last question from me, Buck, and thank you as always for the time. I asked you this one. I think I've asked you this one every single pre-fight interview. Give me a walkthrough of what the perfect fight day on the 14th of December looks like.
The perfect walkthrough for this fight, especially leading up to going to Tampa and having my first main event against Colby Covington. I really feel myself going out there, not only just being dominant, but going out there and getting a finish. That's how it'll end a perfect night, getting a finish on my first main event in Tampa, December 14th. That's a perfect night for me. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, Buck, have a great and safe rest of camp. Thank you as always for the time
Thank you,
and
bro.
enjoy this main event because you truly deserve it. And
I
it's a great
appreciate you.
time of the year.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah. Be talking to you next time. Let's get it.
Thank you, my man. Just pause the recording there. Have a great rest of your
All
day
right.
as always.
All
Appreciate
right,
you.
Mike, man. Appreciate you, dog. All right.